Hi, and welcome to Ames Response to COVID-19, a question and answer program where Ames area organizations respond to your COVID-19 questions. I'm Susan Guiasa, the Public Relations Officer for the City of Ames. On today's show, my guests are Brian Vanderhayden, Director of Student Wellness at Iowa State University, and Jason Tuttle, Commander with the Ames Police Department. Hey, welcome to the show. Jason, let's go ahead and start with you. As you know, the Ames City Council passed a mask ordinance a couple of weeks ago. It says masks are required in any indoor setting where the public is invited and in outdoor situations where people cannot distance themselves by 6 feet or greater. Is the Ames Police Department getting a lot of calls on this topic?
We received a number of calls. As of today, we received 9 complaints from the community. Most of those came from businesses in the community that the customers didn't believe the people there were following the mask ordinance. We've had some at private residents as well, and then some at some different apartment buildings around town. Prior to the mask ordinance, we did get some other calls previous to that at gatherings around the community, oftentimes associated with some of our young people that live in town. But those were classified under some of our party calls before we had the ordinance. We've received quite a few complaints over the last 4 or 5 months.
And when you respond to a complaint, what are you trying to impart with the people that you come into contact with?
Yeah, specifically with the mask ordinance, if you're inside a building in the city, you should be wearing a mask. So that's what we're looking for when we show up. Obviously, if people are outside, it's a little bit different. If they can distance themselves, then they're not required to wear a mask. So we may make contact with the people when we pull up if we believe there's a violation. If we pull up and they're distance and they're wearing masks, we may not make contact. Again, we really try to use a lot of wisdom in those cases to make sure that we are responding appropriately, but not being heavy-handed.
Yeah, I see a lot of emphasis on the public education component and just making sure that people know what the rules are, and then you are kind of moving towards compliance.
Right. Yeah. Generally, in most of what we do, we're going to choose education over enforcement. And with our mask ordinance, there is no fine, and so we carry masks in our cars as well. Our officers do, and so they may take a handful of masks with them and ask the people they're dealing with to put on the mask, and we've had great compliance when we've done that in the past. We really haven't had any issues.
Well, great. Let's move over to Brian. Iowa State University has been on the forefront of public health messaging with its Cyclones Care public education campaign. But universities have a lot of social events that focus on togetherness, such as football games and traditions like tailgating. What are the rules on campus, and how do you recommend students stay healthy?
Yeah, it's a great question, Susan. So ISU has been a leader in the community on public health efforts, and like you mentioned, with the Cyclone Cares campaign. So first, it's been really exciting to see the community rally around these important healthy behaviors just to help keep our community safer. So ISU Athletics has made a lot of great changes to help improve fan safety on game day. And while there's no tailgating allowed on university property this year, we know that Cyclone fans and students want to be able to celebrate all of our Cyclone victories and just make sure that we're doing it in a safe way. So one way that we're working on that this year is through our Party Smart campaign. So it's an adaptation to our Party Like a Cyclone campaign that Student Wellness and a few other offices on campus started. And it really focuses on how to host safer social gatherings. So it's rooted in a harm reduction philosophy that really focuses on minimizing negative risks and consequences from any parties or gatherings that involve alcohol. So we want students to be able to celebrate and gather in a way that reduces as many risks, legally, personally, socially, as possible. So we've collaborated with Ames Police Department Safe Neighborhood Team, as well as some others, just to get these messages out every year in a variety of different ways. And during COVID-19 time, we've just adapted what our typical campaign is, just to also include some additional considerations for COVID-19, and that's what we call Party Smart. So we've adapted it from the CDC guidelines connecting to social gatherings. It's really just about getting information out to people on how they can celebrate and gather in ways that maintain all those public health guidelines that we know are so important and those cyclone cares behaviors that we've been sharing out.
So if you wanted more information about the Party Smart campaign, where could you get that?
Yeah, so I would say watch for social media. We're putting out a lot of information out there about social media as well as our website. Some of the big takeaways that we like to talk about are, a lot of the cyclone cares things that I mentioned, but also, making sure that people aren't sharing any, cups or food items, vaping devices, trying to keep gatherings small, encouraging people to talk with their neighbors so that they, things get too loud and, contact at the time, those types of things. So we have a guide on our website actually that has a whole bunch of different tips and considerations for how people can gather in a way, that maintains all those really important cyclone cares behaviors and public health guidelines. So people can visit our website for more information and definitely check out social media for some additional.
That's great. One of the things that's been really encouraging is watching our positivity rate numbers, particularly on ISU campus. We've seen a positive trend. So great job there.
Thanks.
Well, thank you to our guests, Brian Vanderhayden, Director of Student Wellness at Iowa State University, and Commander Jason Tuttle with the Ames Police Department. Just a final note. The City of Ames has recommended for Trick or Treat Night, 5:30 to 7:30 on Saturday, October 31st. Now, the Centers for Disease Control does consider traditional trick or treating as a high-risk activity, but they have suggested several practices to mitigate those risks. Remember to wear face coverings, stay with your own family, keep a physical distance from others, and only go to homes with the lights on. For additional Halloween safety tips, please go to the CDC website or check cityofames.org/COVID-19 for additional information. Is there something that you're curious about? Let us know. We'll put together another episode of Ames Response soon, and your question could be featured. Email us with your question at covid19@cityofames.org. And remember, City of Ames does have COVID-19 information on our website. Thank you.